Welcome back to segment 2 of Kingdom Brunch. I'm your host, David Gabrielle, and we are studying the book of Ruth. So, let me give you the quick and dirty on where we are right now. So, Naomi and Elimelech moved to leave where they live in Bethlehem, Judah, and go down to Moab, where they shouldn't have gone, because they are down there worshiping all other kinds of gods and stuff, right? So, they leave there, have 2 sons. The 2 sons marry 2 foreign women from this land who, where they worship other gods. So that should not have happened either. And so while they're down there in the place where they are living, the husband dies, then the 2 sons die, leaving the mother-in-law and the 2 daughter-in-law. And so the mother-in-law hears that God is taking care of his people. And so maybe she needs to leave the place where God is not and go back to the place where God is. And so she gets ready to go back. She tells her daughter-in-law, like, look, I am too old to have more sons, so you guys need to go home to your own mama. They say, no, we want to go with you. She resists them 3 times. How much often do we feel resistance in the place where God has told us to stay, and we stick it out for a little while, stick it out for a little while longer, and then give up? It's happened to all of us. Hopefully we don't go as far as Orpah did, because Oprah went back. Oh, there it is. Orpah went back. Orpah turned back. Right. I'm not making this up. It's in the book. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. So now Orpah was resisted. She knew. She married the Jewish man. So she obviously knew his God and knew his ways and had learned to love his family, loved his mother-in-law. But after a certain amount of resistance, she was like, maybe it really would be just, you don't even know where you're going. And I know my mama has a house back here in Moab, even if they worshiping all these other gods. I'm used to that. So maybe I need to go on back. The revelation was gone. Okay. There was no revelation. And not that there could have been, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. Clave, like as in cleave. Like for this reason, purpose of husband leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife. Yeah, she clave to her. She held on to her. She joined herself. She said, I'm going to be connected to you. Hallelujah. 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 And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. So Naomi's like, look, your sister-in-law is going back to where it seems to be more comfortable right now with those gods. Because I know that I don't know exactly where I'm going in my own land. I don't even know what has happened since we've been gone for these 10 years. But I'm going back to where I came from, to where God is. Hallelujah. We leave sometimes, we make the mistake of getting under pressure and succumbing to the pressure, and we find ourselves jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, only to find that it's worse in the fire. And then we just got to go back to the frying pan. At least in the frying pan where we know, like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, he's going to be there with us in the frying pan. And Ruth said in verse 16, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. Where thou diest, will I die. And there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me. And more also, if aught but death part thee and me. She's like, look, I'm going to connect myself to you. like a husband should cleave unto his wife, I'm going with my mother-in-law. I'm going to go where you go, die where you die, live where you live, serve your God. Don't make me separate myself from you. I am part of you. Hallelujah. And when she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them. And they said, is this Naomi? So Naomi went back home. And down to verse 22 says, so Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. Hallelujah. So she said, okay, now just know, I don't exactly know all that's going to go on. I don't exactly know where I'm going. You know, I have family there, but I'm just going home. I'm just returning to God. Because she specifically told Orpah, go back to your mother's house. And then she turned to Naomi and said, now your sister-in-law is going back to her country and her God. So it was clear that Orpah was not going to continue on in the faith. She was not going to continue on with God. She was going back where she came from. And to the gods that she came from. Hallelujah. And I'm not going to read all the rest of this story because we know how it goes, but we understand that from here, you know, Ruth goes on to meet Boaz. The Naomi teaches her how to approach him, how to reach out to him. The thing that was so interesting about Ruth is that she was such a diligent and loyal person. Before we part from this, I just want to say, I mean, just think about what kind of loyalty that must be to a mother-in-law. So often we hear such horror stories about daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law. It doesn't have to be that way. You do not have to buy into the myths that have perpetuated down throughout time about how to get along with your mother-in-law. She can be just like your mother. You can take care of her just as you would your own mother. Love her as you would your own mother. Honor her as she is your own mother. And the lesson here is, and God will honor you for honoring her. So there is a certain disrespect that could very well come along with not honoring your mother-in-law. Think about what it might mean for mothers-in-law to honor their daughters-in-law using this principle, and daughters-in-law honoring their mother-in-laws using this principle. And just for example, just think that might possibly God honor your loyalty and love for one another and bless you with a fulfilling and precious relationship. Think about it. It's not the end of the world. At the minimum, you gain a friend. At the most, you gain another mother. Think about it. We'll be right back.